this March 17th, 2026 meeting of the Historic Landmark Commission to order. It's 6:30 p.m. We do a roll call.
Lori Marchman,
Kyle McVeigh,
Mary King,
Jeff Gardner,
Priscilla Garrett, Jenny Andermatt.
and I note that Doug Domino is absent. All right, next is citizens' comments. If anyone wants to speak to the commission, please hit the ambo, tell us your name and address, and we'll give you 3 minutes to say your piece. No? All right. Well, we opened the citizens' comment at 6:31. We'll close it at 6:32. All right, the next item is approval of minutes for January 20, 2026. All right. Any discussion or changes? If not, can I get a motion?
I so move we pass the minutes for January 20th, 2025.
Can I get a second?
go ahead. I second.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, the motion passes unanimously. The minutes are approved. Item number 5, discussion and action items. Number A, or letter A, discussion and take appropriate action on a certificate of appropriateness for 514 Petersburg. You're on.
Alright, so this is for the barn on the property located on the corner of Petersburg and Angelo Street. It's in an HE zone. The property is listed on both Historic Resources Survey, but note that the barn did not exist on the property in 1969. That's where that on the top left-hand is. But it was present in the 2002 survey. According to Medina County and the survey, the barn has an approximate build date of 1975. So the applicant has already made alterations, but here's what it looked like before. Here's what it currently looks like. A stop work order was issued on February 23rd, and the applicant is proposing to add on to the east side of the barn, which won't be visible from Angelo Street. You can see here. So for the front of the barn, the addition will use the reclaimed wood from the existing barn and salvage 8 light windows. The trim and frame of the windows will be painted to match the color of the wood. For the elevation that faces Angelo Street, the applicant is proposing to add a salvage stained glass window behind the existing attic access door and a salvage single hung window behind the top portion of the existing Dutch door. So this facade will look the same except when those doors are open, and then you would see these elements. For the rear of the property, the addition will include a reclaimed transom window. The siding will also use the reclaimed wood from the old barn. And then for the east side of the barn, this is where that addition connects to the existing barn. Again, using the reclaimed wood, and the roof will consist of architectural galvanized metal. So, other things to note: the existing solar system will remain in the rear of the barn, and on the main home, they're requesting to paint the shutters to a dusty blue. This is a color that they had experimented with, and it was too saturated, and they didn't think it blended in, so that's why they want to use dusty blue. One of the colors that is on it is in the guidelines. So I had a few recommendations. So technically, this would be considered an interior modification because it sits behind the Dutch door, and this elevation is not changing. So I'm just noting that because we can't really say anything on that. But I did make a comment that since it will be in the public right of way when it's open, I did make a recommendation that the window be more historically appropriate with a 9-way window that matches the characters of the home. Again, that's a preference that I have, but since it's technically an interior modification, that's how we have to read it, and it's up to the homeowner if they want to do that. Same thing goes with the stained glass window. It's technically an interior modification since this elevation will be changed. So another comment in my letter wanted to clarify the paint color of the trim and frame of the window. They said they were going to paint it to match the wood, so that it blends in. For compatibility with the historic district and existing site, installation of the proposed painted picture window is not recommended, as it does not reflect the style of the main home or barn. I recommend using on this back side a window with similar characteristics of that 8-light window that they're using on the front, and it also kind of matches the windows on the main home. But I do want to note that this is in the back of the house. Visual here showing how close it is to that property line and how far back it is, so you probably won't even see that window when you're passing by. For my general comments, the only proposed work on the main home is to paint those shutters in dusty blue, which now aligns with the design guidelines. The addition must comply with the setbacks in the CZO. And then lastly, while the use of salvage material is commendable, the proposed materials vary in era, style, and size, resulting in a lack of consistency. And it just doesn't, it affects the barn, and it creates like a disconnect from the main home. And that was my last comment. So I would just recommend using a consistent style of windows throughout the barn, so it matches the style of the barn and the style of the house. So those are my comments. I think we have the applicant here. So if you have any questions for me or the applicant.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Oh, sorry.
Did one of you want to go to the AMBO and answer some questions for us? All right, that's fair. We promise to be nice. And could you give us your full name and address, please?
Yeah, it's Victoria Iglesias Romo, and we're at 514 Petersburg.
Okay. All right. Jane?
One of the slides, or maybe it was two, it looked like, has the addition already been built?
It has well, it's not complete, but it was started. So our contractor, he's a professional, but he insisted. We asked him multiple times whether it was permitted. Is everything all the ducks in a row? Are we, And so he insisted that it was, because the build is 200 square feet or less. So we're just shy of that. And so this is, I mean,
It's all right. I just
yeah.
wanted to be sure that what I was seeing was what I thought I was seeing. That's all. I was just seeking clarification.
Yeah. So no,
No judgment.
Unfortunately, so we discovered that, it does require permits and to come before the board and what have you. So we apologize for that. We did our due diligence to the best of our ability, and so he's great builder, excellent. He worked on the roof. He's actually very good. I just think this was outside of his wheelhouse. He just hasn't worked in a historic build before, just did not know what was involved. And now he kind of cut and run. We can't get a hold of him. We're ghosted. So,
Can you just make an announcement for Mr. Devander's at 6:30?
Yeah, so I do make that announcement. Doug is now here. Can you raise your hand, wave your arms for the camera?
Stand
You.
up.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right. Doug, you're late, but do you have any questions about this property? Or do you want to come back?
No,
come back to you.
I kind of read the packet earlier.
Okay. Priscilla?
Do y'all know the history of this building?
The barn?
It's not a barn. Wasn't originally a barn.
No, that we were told it was.
The outhouse.
Kidding. Isn't that enormous for an outhouse?
1970.
Well, after who were the two guys, Kyle? When they sold it to Pam Higdon, Pam added on the 2 bedrooms and the bathroom to the back of the house. So whenever she did that, but yes, the reason that got so much attention before Pam Higdon bought it, it was in Southern Living magazine. It was in every Texas historical magazine you can see, and that was the bathroom to that house until the 1970s.
Amazing.
Yes, if you go back and read on this house, it was very different. They kept it. Kept this house outstanding.
But it wasn't there on the 69 survey. So did they tear it down and rebuild it? Or?
No, it's been there all the time. I don't know why it wasn't there on the 69 survey. I can't answer that question. But that house that's been built since when did they buy it? They went into it? Yeah. But yeah, they kept that as the outhouse until Pam Higdon moved into it, and she built the first bathroom onto the back of the house.
Excuse me, they did tell us at one time that it was a smokehouse also.
It might have.
What was smoking, right?
That's exactly right. But I'm right, aren't I, Kyle? On what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a very popular house for magazines to look at and everything in the 1960s.
I know, right?
So,
My name is Angelo. No, I'm not the owner of the street. Angelo Street. But I do want to say that the roof had gaps about a half inch. Rain would just come down. And the walls on the side, really, really wide gaps. So it wasn't serving any purpose for anything. Couldn't keep anything in there. Couldn't do anything. I mean, it's a nice. We wanted to keep the integrity of how it looked, and so that's why we made every effort to try and do that. So, but we want to also make it useful.
sure. I mean, that's.
I understand. I just wanted to know if you really knew the history of what that house.
Let me back up a little bit. What does this mean? I mean, what's in your experience? Okay, it didn't show up on the survey, but we've got information now that it was an actual historic structure, an outhouse, historic outhouse. Is there such a thing?
It could have been when they did it, when the gentleman that did all that, it could have been moved from another one.
I didn't find anything else. It was just that wasn't really a creditable source. So
Does it change your recommendations any? Would it change your
I'm
recommendations
not
any?
saying to change the recommendations. The only thing I have, when you look at the new build, for sure is going to be covered with older boards to make it match.
Well-
What?
Well, I think Selena's recommended that they not use that reclaimed wood because it's all kinds of different dates, right? And sizes and.
it was for the windows, not to use all different windows and sizes. The
Right.
reclaimed wood
Is that fine?
is fine.
Okay.
For the siding, to cover up what we see on the picture there, the reclaimed wood. That would be my only thing, to make sure all the new wood that's getting built gets covered up.
Yeah, so this was the board showing. It'll be with those, so they sent me the pictures that they took off the siding of the connector, where the connector.
Right.
They took it off, they removed it, and they have it on the side because they want to reuse that. to
Which
cover
makes sense.
up.
That's, okay, that would be my only.
That's what they're gonna do, okay? All that wood is not gonna cover up that whole box, so they're gonna find similar woods and.
Correct.
Cool.
Yeah, that would be my only.
Okay.
And I agree
Oh.
with your windows, with what you've done, said with the windows.
That's what I was gonna say too. I like your idea of having those back windows, like the front windows, that bring more light in, and I think it adds to the character of it. I think it's great.
Lori?
I'd like to make a motion. If that's okay.
I also think that, that the recommendations make sense. What do you think about these recommendations? I think the only thing that we're suggesting is that the windows kind of more match the integrity of the building instead of adding things that aren't, period.
Yeah, no, I think it's a reasonable ask.
Okay.
The largest window, and the one that actually probably has a little more visibility is in fact the 8 light pane. So
Mhm.
it does correlate.
Right.
The others, I'll be honest, we went to an architectural salvage,
Mhm.
and it was not unaffordable, right? It was a little expensive, what we got, because again, we're trying to maintain this, and I don't know that we can return what we have or exchange them. We'll try,
Okay.
but certainly, it's reasonable.
Okay. And you'll have the only historic outhouse in Castroville, which is something that.
I'm amazed that they're that large. And let me tell you, within that structure, there's like
Well,
there's a
one of
built-in
three.
ladder.
No,
There's a
All right.
built-in
well,
ladder.
somebody could have put that in after they sold the house.
Okay.
But go back and do some research on it, because the times that it was
Might be fun,
the
right?
times that it was on tour, there's stuff out there on that house. Because you're famous for the 2 chimneys and 5 fireplaces too, whether you know it or not.
So what you're saying is that in the Southern Comfort magazine, they talk about this being
Southern Living.
Southern Living.
Yeah, they do.
Or
They do an
Yes,
article.
maybe.
They do a article on it.
So they can go and research about it.
There's-
That we can't be,
There's more info, I think, in the ones that were done locally in Texas, the stuff, but there's quite a bit out there. Starting with going back and researching when Garden Club was researching and doing home tours back when.
Okay.
They did a lot of that. And then Pam Hickson significantly changed it so she could live
for all those records.
Huh?
For all those records.
At Conservation Society.
Cool. All right. Do I have a motion?
Yes, before I make the motion, I want to note that the current ordinance does not allow AUDs within the city limits, correct?
ADUs, you mean?
ADUs, that's correct.
Okay. I make a motion that we return this request for the COA to Ms. Soto because there's no final rendering of the completed project.
These elevations. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's it. Let's see, that's yeah, these elevations, and I requested elevations, and he took the time and got these back to me. No, I don't. I told her that we would be sketch because not everyone can afford an architect.
Sure,
So
of course.
these are the elevation she provided for me.
Okay.
So would you like to withdraw that motion?
Yes.
Okay. Motion's withdrawn. Do I have anyone that'd like to make a motion, another motion?
Go ahead.
Uh,
I make a motion that we accept the suggestions or that Selena made concerning windows and siding using the reclaimed wood. Cover the other panel.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I still have a question about the windows. I thought that the window that's solid glass, I thought that was technically an interior thing.
So,
That's
We can still
anything.
add it as a recommendation,
Okay,
but for the language, when I
it can't be
Right.
enforced, let's say, or mandated.
Okay, anything further? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Sounds like it passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for working with us. Appreciate that.
I'd like to note that I was going to nay on that.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
Okay, so we do have a nay.
Yes.
Okay, one nay.
happy building.
Okay, the next item is letter B, discussion and take appropriate action of a certificate of appropriateness for 509 Berlin.
Alright, so this is for the back storage building at 509 Berlin. It's in an HE district, and the property is not on either one of the surveys. According to Cleveland CAD, the storage was built in 1985. The applicant is proposing to add new awnings, technically a front porch and a side porch to the existing structure. This will have art panel, metal roofing, and the posts and beams will either be stained or painted white to match the trim on the existing shed. And because the proposed work is located at the rear of the property, it's not visible from the street, and it's consistent with the design guidelines. I would recommend this.
We'll start with you, Lori.
I have no questions.
I'm fine. I'm
So-
gonna take
That-
no questions.
Okay, I have none either. I have a motion.
Make a motion to approve the COA as recommended by the city.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I've had a motion to second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. The COA is approved. Thank you. Discussion, take appropriate action on the proposed historic preservation officer administrative approvals. Okay, Selena?
Are we able to jump to 709?
I agree.
Okay, sure. We can do that. So we'll move ahead to item F, discussion and take appropriate action on a COA for 709 Berlin.
So this is for roof replacement. The property is in an HE zone and it's not part of either historic resources survey. The property owner already did make alterations, because it was an emergency. There was a leak in the roof, so they replaced their roof. This is just some photos that they're showing. The inspector stepped on the roof and.
Oh my gosh.
And so what they did is they changed their roof from gray shingles to black shingles. Those are the new shingles here. So the emergency roof repair, including submitted color materials, is consistent with the design guidelines and
Okay. Jenny, any questions, discussion, Doug, Priscilla, Mary? No? No? Do I have a motion?
I'll move that we accept the COA as it was submitted. Selena?
Okay,
A second.
all right. Had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? None? Okay, the motion passes. The COA is approved. Great, thank you. We'll go back to item C, discussion and take appropriate action on proposed historic preservation officer administrative approvals.
So during our workshop, part of my homework was to come up with a list of items that could potentially administratively approved, and we have that in your packet. I wanted to go through them. I'll go through each item and then ask questions. But the purpose of this was to, did you
I don't think so.
see
Did
right
we?
here.
Oh, it's at the end?
They're right after the one we did, not the one we just did.
It's right here. It's right after the awning, last picture of the awning. So I would say page 49.
Something like
So, the purpose of this is to streamline the review process, having people get their project approved if it's something minimal, so they don't have to wait a month to go long. So, go through that. The first one is for someone who wants to change a surface that is already painted with another color, as long as the color is recommended in the design guidelines. So this would apply to siding, trimming, columns, beams, stuff like that. Typically we see, someone that wants lighter yellow to a slightly darker yellow or like a darker blue. Keep in mind that if it's a drastic change, say someone wants to white to black, then that would come to you all. I would make sure it comes to you all because it's a severity of it. So, any questions on that one? This next one is if someone wants to replace the roof, just like we saw in the last one. If it's a lighter material, but the color is on these design guidelines, that's something I would recommend being also
If anyone has any comments, just speak up, please.
Alright, so this next one is on architectural finishes. This one's pretty straightforward. This one would be for anyone who wants to replace their shutters or add shutters, as long as the shutters match the size of the windows and close. This is approval as long. And then the colors would still have to, match. So for these, this first one here would approve any rear yard decks and porches that are not visible from the street. Again, if anything drastically changes where it doesn't match the style, that would come to you all. But simple porch replacements on the back of the house, not visible from the street, I feel like would be efficient.
But even on the front, if it's a like for like, and let's say they're just maybe enlarging it a little bit or something, if it's still fit within your purview, like for like, would it matter whether it's from?
I'm just, yeah, I said rear just because you don't really see it on the street. And so if it's front, I feel like you guys would probably want to see it because it's visible from the street. That's why I didn't include the front porch. But if you all think that replacing a front porch is a
Yeah, I think we probably should see anything that's visible
If
from the
it's
street.
really drastically different from what if it's just more like a repair place or something?
that's for you all to discuss. If you
No, that,
Isn't that already in the ordinance?
That's-
Like for like?
yeah.
It's already there.
In there.
Right, like for like doesn't have to come to us.
But it doesn't say only on the rear.
So most of the time when people are replacing porches, they are changing materials
On the front, we're talking about.
and the back too, because they're in a poor condition. They're probably gonna put a metal roof instead of shingle, or, they might be using some different materials, different sizing, different spacing now.
But what I'm saying, wouldn't that, you could put that on the front too, if they're just if it's drastically different, then yes, I think we should be able to see it. But if they're just because of weathering or something like for like on the front, I don't see why you couldn't approve it if it's not drastically different. That would be your call, whether or not you think it is or not. But
They're right that if it's a like for like and it's a replacement, if it's deteriorating and they're replacing the wood for wood, that is already in the code. It's a like for like, so it wouldn't even come to you all.
even on the front,
Even on.
okay, because we were saying just on the rear, we were just talking about rear.
Well, this is if, for instance, someone wanted to change the roof from a shingle to a metal roof, but it's in the back.
They want to enlarge it.
But we'll,
I just want to, does that make sense?
it makes sense to a point with me, because if they're really not changing anything on the front, and they're just replacing damaged something, why would that have to, I can see if they're making big differences in the front, then it would need
I
to
think
come
what-
to us.
When we say like for like, I believe the intent is if it's currently 2x6 pine construction on the deck, that's what they should be replacing.
Right.
But if they go 2x8 composite materials, then all of a sudden it's not like for like, correct? So that's where the challenge is that if it's in the back, then Selena can kind of make that call. But if it's in the front, we should be reviewing.
Even if it's like for like.
It's not like for like, it's changing from pine.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but if they're not changing from that, why does it need to come?
It doesn't, and it
It
won't.
doesn't.
It doesn't, okay, but that wasn't said, we were talking about just at the rear.
No, the rule already says like for like, but like for like means literally, if you're using 2x6 pine now,
For my small brain, you have to say, not just the rear, and I just heard the words the rear. So, I wanna make sure that if it is just like for like on the front, you can do it too, if it's really not any changes.
Yes.
Okay. I know what
I've
like
always-
for like
I've
means.
always been a little bit confused on the like for like. Even though it's like for like, do they have to get a permit to do that work?
They might need a building permit for that, if it's a like construction, they probably don't need to come through us, but if
A deck,
on the deck.
a front porch?
They need to go get a building permit.
Well, it just depends on what they're trying to do.
If
Like,
she's-
if there's a structural aspect to it, then yeah, they would have to come to me, but if they're just, a post was knocked down, they just replace the post, and that's it. Fire code permit.
So that's where her like for like fits in.
Right.
They would not come to us.
But number 4, it doesn't say like for like or replacing rod and stuff. It says construction and alteration in the back. I would say that would only be permitted for non-conforming, because you're actually altering the historic structure. It could stay in there, but you would have to limit it to non-conforming structures in that case.
So the word alterations is worrisome in that.
Yes, yes. And
Well, all we're talking about here is giving Selena administrative approval to make decisions in non-visible portions of the rear of buildings,
And I agree.
not the front. We're not
Right.
talking about the front, sides, tops. So we're just talking about the non-visible back spaces. And we're not talking about like for like here. We're talking about something maybe a little bit different that we give her opportunity to change, for instance, shingles to metal or something, but it's not visible. So does it matter to us?
So
That's
if
the
it's-
question.
So if it sits on a corner, it's gonna be visible. So
But if it's
something like
visible-
that comes, that
That
be
would come,
visible.
yes.
So it's gonna only be
So be for properties that are between houses.
between houses.
And there's a house behind it.
before, okay, do we have the authority to interpret the ordinance? Doesn't this have to go to legal?
It will go to legal. I just wanted to propose these changes to you, and then me and Brianna would work on the language, and then she would probably present that to legal. And it would also have to get approved through city council.
Okay. So it's not a motion to approve it as is, it's just the beginnings, the genesis of this, okay.
What we're trying to do is streamline the process. I think it makes sense.
Alright, for this next one, this is for anyone who wants to build an accessory structure smaller than 300 square feet in their backyard. That's not seen from the street. I went with 300 square feet because that's around the standard size of one car garage or a carport.
Or an outhouse.
A large, or a large shed. So that square footage could be adjusted if you wanted to, but that's the number I'm starting off with.
Wouldn't it be a case by case, like it would depend on the lot size, because we have that limitation as far as structures on a lot size.
Yeah, we would have to, that was something that we would have to look at later when we go to legal. That's the number I'm starting with.
And it would depend on other structures in the backyard, like if, you know, do you determine if they're allowed to have like 2 or 3 of them? Or
Well, I think the building code says you can only have one structure, right? And maybe,
That doesn't cover more what than 60%. What is the 60%?
Comes from the CCR.
CCR.
Right.
That's a zoning.
That's a zoning thing, that you can't add something that's gonna get you over 60% covered.
Yeah, what was it? I can't remember.
I thought it was 40.
I think, no, we tried to get 40.
Okay.
That was in the UDO. And 60,
All right.
60 is what's in there now. I'm pretty sure, right, Phil? Right, Houston? I think it's 60%. Kurt, I think it's always been 60%. Right.
anyone have any comments about that? I think what we're talking about here is storage sheds for the most part.
We were going to 40. But I think it's 60. I think 60 was what was said. None of that happened. Yeah, so. Oh, is it in our zone? No. Good number.
You can't have more than 2 structures that have, like, that can be lived in.
And
Oh,
forbidden.
mama. Right, that's what I mean.
And I think for what's the word, pervious coverage, I think it's 60%. It's 60, I think it's 60% now. Yeah.
Okay.
It's bigger than 40. So that's it.
So, any comments on that suggestion?
Well, one quick comment. So, no more bar and red buildings that have to be within the 10 color scheme, right?
So these,
So if they're building, if they come to you, want to build a 300 square foot structure, the paint scheme has to complement the existing structure.
yeah, it still needs to, complement and have to be on that.
Paint scheme.
So it can't be a metal barn. It has to match the historic
Right,
integrity of that property.
right, so everything that, let's say you did for this and for all these, and all these come to me, I still am gonna go through the design guidelines like I do now, and still write those.
And you always have the opportunity to punt it up to us.
Right. Yes. We'll move on. This next one is for anyone who wants to make alterations to the areas of their home that are not visible from the street. So that will typically include, like I said, houses that are not on corner lots, between houses. For example, they want to replace their back windows, so you can't see that, or a side door that you can't see. Those would be for, those alterations.
But you're not talking about like room additions and stuff.
No,
Okay.
that's not additions, it just could be, instead of having to fix the
So you're talking about a door,
Yes.
a window.
Windows, attic,
You've gone through the guidelines, and it's a historic house, and it's an easy pass.
yes.
Okay.
But even if it isn't historic, it's still, it does, yeah.
Yes. Alright, so this is for anyone that is maybe upgrading their mechanical, electrical, or plumbing equipment that is on the exterior that you can see, so there'll be like an AC outside the electrical box. Again, as long as it's not visible from the street. Must be
Any comments on this? Straightforward.
Almost every, when you're putting that in, unless they're putting it at the very back, you're gonna see it. I don't, if it's on either side of the house, you're gonna be able to see it.
So if you can see it from the street.
It'll come to us, okay.
Yeah, it says located at the rear.
The rears. Because it says rear or side elevations, and side, you would be able to see from the street.
Site
What you're saying is administrative that can be improved if it's in the rear versus on the side.
If it's visible from the street.
Right, so that's the way it's written.
Right, it's visible, but yeah, from the back, she can.
Next one is gonna be for site improvements. This would be for any fences not visible from the street, so mainly your rear, or side yard fences, as long as it's consistent with the side yard fence. Not include front fences.
Can't you almost, right now, you can almost see anything that somebody's doing to the side? Can't you? I mean, I can drive by your house and see it,
Uh-oh.
see both sides, you know?
There's
Yeah.
some, applications like the one I have on the screen where they replaced the side of the yard, and it was like finished, the side fence, it was finished. I don't know if you remember that one, it was months ago. So it's like stuff like that. But if you do see it from the side.
So you would be looking at how far up could they put a fence by the house, because
Well, whether it's visible.
whether it, yeah, because most of the time, at least half of the side of the house is visible.
You could have like landscaping shrubbery that, you know, that blocks the view of the back, for instance, or Mhm. Right, that's all. But she, again, you would kick this up to us if you had any question. Automatic.
But then some council really didn't change the ordinance, but I think for some reason, it was, I don't know, we're just gonna ask for that. But the meeting ordinance is part of it.
Okay, and then this last one is, for any work that was previously approved, but the applicant needs to make changes that don't alter the approved design intent. So, for example, Conrad's, he wanted to restore this historic structure. He thought it was originally stucco, and then he removed stucco. But, so the original design intent was there, but he wanted to keep historic. So maybe for stuff like that, or similar. Questions on that one?
Anyone have an issue with that? That idea? Okay.
Great.
And I think council is going to be anxious to streamline this process and make it as easy as possible for the applicants. So, cool, good, thank you, good job. All right, so let's move to the next item. Update on new properties for sale in historic districts.
And I just wanted to share, some homes that came to my attention from the last, HLC meeting. 1560 Mexico Street and 1211 Alamo Street, were listed by Jason Mitchell Real Estate Group, and then 802 Athens Street. Just throwing that out there. I already contacted them with my email, to my historic district.
Which ones are actually historic houses? None of them, 1211 Alamo, what is that? That's, oh, okay.
I noticed that house that was left out of the historic district on 90s is for sale again too by AB Realty. So we have no control over that. Are we trying to that one that they tried to tear down? Was that on?
Yeah.
Violet Chamber?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there anything we can do about that one? I mean, should we be doing something? I don't know.
Well, the only thing we can do is we have to house the owner to put it into other zones.
I have two.
He wants it torn down? Is that the idea?
What about Baldwin's house? Did you ever have a talk with him about, bringing that one back? Baldwin down the street from him, not around the corner behind Duke's. It's right there. Amelia, it's on Amelia and right behind Duke's. It's, that's one that was on the 96.
Okay. Any questions, discussions about that? All right, let's move to the last item then. Update on UTSA Historic Resources Survey Fieldwork.
So I had a meeting with the historic preservation coordinator at UTSA 2 weeks ago. One idea they were proposing was structuring a historic resource or historic preservation theory class around this historic resources survey. That would be free to the city because it would be education course for them. So it wouldn't be a formal, I mean, it would be all the raw data, but it formal report. They proposed to do it in a semester, which wants to do like deeper than a semester, which would be in the fall. Which begins August 15th and ends in December 11th, so it'll be months where they come out and document state of condition and everything. They would probably give us like an Excel sheet, and then I feel like that is pretty good to use to find that period of significance. But if you wanted it to be more formal, she also proposed that they can take that data, they can give it to their Center of Cultural Sustainability. You would have to pay for that. They can make a formal report. She gave me a price on that. It was $58,000. But I did tell her that, we're going through, we're going to see if we can get a grant. It's a matching grant. And it kind of aligns perfectly. And we did want to bring UTSA students out to, like I said, either way, if we don't get the grant, she said they're still willing to document.
Well, if we go ahead and this is at no cost to the city, so would we even need to get city council approval to do something like this?
So my question is this different than the historic resource survey that's done across town as well as within the county? So before that,
Was that Josh here? Shit.
Yeah.
Josh meeting there had some.
you know about that?
The student, yeah.
Yes, we need to, I think the fact that it's with help from the city, because I'm very,
Yes,
And so either
putting it together.
people agreeing so that it's just an own property. And the idea is it's going into something that can be uploaded to US Department of the Interior, whatever it's called.
But
that was only done on the historic property.
Exactly.
That's a historic property.
Yeah, we need,
This is the whole district.
that was gonna be my question. They'll look at everything in the district whenever the house was built. That's what we need, Phil, not just, because that would be a good one to bring in.
A lot of these structures have already been done. So we need to make sure what they do, look at that, because you don't need to go and do another survey of a structure that just had a survey years ago.
But I
Well,
don't
what
wanna-
we're looking for is a survey map. We want to be able to pull out a piece of paper and say, this particular property has these kind of structures on it, built these dates.
And that's what this one was done on.
But just on the old ones.
But
Just on the
but
Just
we're,
on the history.
because what we're looking at is a sliding scale of history, right? So our ordinance talks about 50-year time period, which is always moving. So 50 years ago it was the 60s, right? So
Right, so I'm not saying that it shouldn't be done, what I'm saying is that a lot of these properties just recently.
right.
And actually, they catalog the architectural style of the house, so there's a whole list.
So they could work together.
It's a website.
I think it's.
Or let them look, 'cause I would-
Look at that.
I would be afraid they,
I am familiar, it's a textual colonies,
yes.
I am familiar.
Okay, and they, and UTSA look at that. If they could use it, it would be a great thing.
But I would wanna make sure they're gonna look at all the same things, even when they're looking at the newer houses or some. I would wanna make sure that
I would want them to still look at the
old,
pioneer homes, because it also, educates them on the style.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea. I think that's a really good resource that's already been worked on, but I would like a fresh look at the historic districts for our purposes. Right,
no, they didn't.
right. And they can use whatever materials they think are appropriate to put together their product.
And so, like I said, either if we don't get the grant, or if we don't go for the grant, if we don't get it, she says that they're willing to still come out, no cost to the city, and have a semester documenting certain issues.
Why would we not do that?
I'm for that, yeah.
So
Make them aware of what Phil's talking about is out there, and she may pull that in, for them to even look at before they
And
start.
incorporate
and
into their-
incorporate
And is
some of
she
it.
the prof that's gonna be leading the
Yes,
kid students, so it's a professor?
yes, Dr. Lombardi,
Dr. Fu Lombardi?
Angela,
Okay.
yeah.
okay, that's not one of our action items, unfortunately. But all right, then let's put that on the next agenda
To present to council.
to recommend whether or not that this is a good idea or not, and maybe you can give us something more formal to look at that we can push to council at the next meeting.
How soon do they need to do? How soon do we have to commit some kids?
So I told her that, so Brad is trying to put me on next meeting. Well, actually, I changed it. I told Dr. Lombardi that if I meet with council and they give me the go ahead, I would let her know at the end of this month. But that's if I'm on.
Well, do we need to have another meeting then to approve the recommendation and whatever materials are going to council?
This is for the fall semester.
It would be for the fall semester that starts in August 19th, but why she recommended the fall semester is because, let's say we go for the grant, it lines up perfectly because their semester ends in December, we would have that raw data, and then we would know if we got the grant in January.
Well, it's a good idea. The question I have is, do we need to have a special called meeting so we can approve recommendations to get to you to go to council with?
We can't do that now.
If I can ask a question, so you all, it sounds like you're all for it.
Yes.
Formally, though, we have, but this professor, for instance, if it was okay, can we approve it by the end? And it's not the price for it, it's just that you have to follow the city guidelines, state law. If you approve this by the end of April, is that going to be a problem for her, or does it have to be approved? Is she saying it needs to be approved this month, or you just offered it should be?
So I'm getting ready to take her in March, so I need to talk to her again to see when she needs me to.
An absolute answer.
Yeah.
So if it came to council, you can say, listen, if it was not formally adopted, however, based on consensus of everybody before, if it's a crunch. If it's not a crunch, then it just for next month.
Yeah. I'll make sure to change.
For this next week, for next week.
I do know that the, but it'd be next week, it's. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. So if you can't put it on, you better. But it's done.
So let me get with to see when she
Okay, good, excellent. Okay. Excellent. All right, so that's it for discussion and action items. Anything proposed for future agenda items? Besides perhaps putting the, this last discussed item on the agenda for approval? The UTSA recommendations.
We have to do it.
Well, if we need to put together, a formal recommendation, which I think we do. Well, that's what Selena's gonna find out, how quick they need it.
Once she finds out, she needs to communicate.
Yes, right. Okay. Any other items for,
Brianna, you don't think you can sneak it in?
I'm looking at it right now, and she has locked it in here, so I'm gonna see, I had already had her on there, so it's just adding the name.
And adding a different thing for her to talk about.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna try and talk with things, it was just, possible actions on providing direction to staff regarding historic preservation code update process. I'm gonna try and maybe to add update to the status.
So let her see if she can get it in.
We'll see what happens.
the problem is we're not making a formal recommendation here, and I don't know if they want that.
But at least we can, it's always okay to go to city council, saying that we can. Yeah, y'all have talked about it already, y'all have discussed it, y'all are in favor of just sitting kind of as an action item, and if there is a deadline, then we can come back to
Okay.
that.
Okay, sounds good. All right, any other items to be added for next meeting? All right. In that case, I'll adjourn the meeting at 7:30. Cool, thank you.
Now we got 3 minutes.
I know, cheated. You have to sit here for 20 more minutes.
Were you planting?
That makes sense.
Take each one.
15.
All right, it's an outhouse. It's a first. I didn't know that.
Let me see, I've got it. There's a really, one time he was on tour all the way up.
Was this in Southern Living in the 70s?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I just like the Southern Living back then.
doesn't, it's a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a long, long time. I
Was it an article about Castroville? Or is it just?
That makes
I think
sense.
it was, I think it was
Yes,
just,
thank you.
I
Okay.
used to have a picture.
Anyways, Jeff, I apologize for you.
Oh, that's okay.
I used to have a picture of when it was on tour, and a long ride of it done on it.
Okay.
I used to have it on my phone, but I can't.
You have everything else on your phone, right? All right.
Kyle knows a lot about it.
You guys are walking encyclopedias.
Well, not really.